on my phone sits at a grand total of 3.
Kinsley would usually blow up my phone with dramatic messages about how much I scared everyone today.
Bank of America reports a $12,400 charge at a Cabo San Lucas resort.
I have never been to Cabo, only traveling between Seattle and logistics conferences held in Portland lately.
The second notification is Instagram, an app I only keep because Kinsley guilt trips me quite often. The image loads and something inside my chest cracks open as I see my family in Cabo.
My father wears that stupid Hawaiian shirt I bought him last Christmas, while the ocean glitters behind.
Kinsley is mid-laugh with designer sunglasses perched on her head as the caption reads, "Family first today."
While I was dying at the hospital, they were toasting each other under a perfect sunset lighting. The third notification is a voicemail I press play on, even though I already know the truth.
The resort is gorgeous, and your father says the golf course here is absolutely top tier now. Not a single question about why I have not responded, or a flicker of concern for me. I work 70-hour weeks and never take a day off, yet they have gone completely silent now. They know exactly where I am because I am the one who pays for their cell phones.
Someone from the hospital called and told them their daughter was in the ICU with severe sepsis. And they chose margaritas, while my hand shakes violently as I scroll back through our text history. I am looking for a worried text or a missed call timestamped right after my sudden collapse.
5 days ago, Kinsley texted me demanding $500 for a dress that did not fit.
I was at my desk trying to reconcile a shipment discrepancy that would cost the whole company. The pain in my abdomen had been building for hours, sharp and insistent, but I blamed stress. Kinsley's text came through, and I did what I always do, pulling up my personal banking app.
The pain spiked then, white hot and blinding, as I remember falling toward the cold tile floor.
My phone was still clutched in my hand, with Kinsley's text still open on the bright screen. I collapsed trying to fund their vacation, while my internal organs were completely shutting down that night.
The door opens and I see Aunt Lenore, the only one who actually came to see me.
She is the one estranged for 15 years after refusing to co-sign a loan for my father.
She sets down a leather portfolio from her forensic auditing days and tells me I am awake.
You listed me as your primary emergency contact 2 years ago. A very smart move, sweetheart.
I ask about my parents and Lenore's expression flickers with what looks like pure, burning rage.
A young nurse appears in the doorway and asks if we want to try calling them again.
No, I rasp out harder than intended, looking at that Instagram photo one last time today. Block them, I whisper to Lenore, my intent finally becoming clear as my grip feels weak.
Lenore takes the phone and nods, saying it is about damn time as she clears the screen.
The morphine fog lifts by noon, and with it comes a clarity I am not quite sure.
She has been tracking them for 8 months, ever since Preston called her bragging while quite drunk.
He claimed 12% returns, but legitimate investments only return about 4% annually if you are lucky.
She taps a key, and the printer starts humming as she pulls public records and credit reports.
I signed an authorization 2 years ago that gave her access to my credit and property filings.
Lenore pulls out a red folder, the color she always used for active fraud cases back then.
Your family does not have a CFO, Callie. They have you, unpaid and completely bled bone dry.
Preston runs a small Ponzi scheme, taking money from new investors to pay off the older ones.
The beeping of my heart monitor picks up pace as it gets much worse than I imagined.
This is a home equity line of credit taken against your house 3 months ago for $60,000.
Someone forged your signature and had it notarized by someone who should definitely lose their license now.
I would never leverage my house, the only safe place I have and own, completely outright today.
The Ring camera footage shows Preston at my kitchen table practicing my signature on a legal pad.
Deidre leans over his shoulder and actually claps when he finally gets the forged signature right today.
The notary arrives and barely glances at the signature before stamping the document and taking cash payment. That is felony fraud, bank fraud, and identity theft, with 10 years minimum if prosecuted federally today.
Of the $60,000, only about $800 remains, as the rest went into Preston's scheme.
I think about the dress Kinsley needed for $500 while I was dying on the floor.
Preston is the financial predator, while Kinsley is the reputation leech who will destroy your credibility now. My hands shake and I tell her they will lose their minds, but Lenore remains very hard.
You are in a hospital bed with sepsis while they are drinking on your dime in Cabo.
I select lock card, and a confirmation screen appears asking if I am sure I want to restrict.
He is probably trying to recruit new investors over lobster at some expensive oceanfront restaurant right now.
I press confirm for all 4 cards, including Grandma Betty's, locking them all in 90 seconds today.
Now the fraud alerts. Call the credit bureaus and tell them you are a victim of theft.
It takes effort as my voice cracks, but I tell the automated systems to freeze my credit.
Each call seals another door that Preston was using to access my entire financial life for years. You have 3 accounts that list Preston as an authorized user, allowing him to monitor your spending.
In 20 minutes, your father will try to pay for dinner, and his card will be declined.
My phone rings immediately with an unknown number, and I know exactly who it is calling me. I answer and put it on speaker, because I need to hear if they actually care today.
You made me look like a fool! My father's voice is pure rage, not worried at all!
The waiter cut up my card in front of clients, and you must fix this right now.
He doesn't ask if I am okay, just demands I fix the tantrum I am currently throwing.
No, I say, my voice steady for the first time since I woke up in this bed.
I hang up and turn off the phone, setting it face down on the small table.
How do you feel? Lenore asks, and I tell her I feel terrified but finally free.
2 days later, the discharge paperwork feels like a prop from someone else's life entirely today.
6 days of beeping monitors end as the nurse wheels me out in the mandatory wheelchair now.
The Uber pulls up and I am struck by how normal my gray house looks today.
Inside, Preston's coffee mug sits on my counter, abandoned like he planned to come back soon.
Daedre's reading glasses are on my couch, and the pillows are rearranged exactly how she prefers.
Don't touch anything yet, Lenore says, as she pulls on latex gloves from her large purse.
She moves through the rooms with professional efficiency, her phone camera clicking steadily at every drawer.
She returns with a banker's box filled with bank statements and printouts of wire transfers today.
Underneath it all is a business registration form for something called Apex Horizons LLC in Nevada.
That is where your money went, to a shell company Preston set up 18 months ago.
$60,000 siphoned in increments small enough that I would not notice on my statements.
He has been running this Ponzi scheme for 8 years minimum, targeting people from his club.
He thought Nevada's privacy laws would protect him, and he thought you would never look here.
My phone buzzes with Grandma Betty again, calling for the 4th time since yesterday with aggression.
She left 3 voicemails calling me selfish and cruel for destroying the family over a misunderstanding.
I pull my hand free and accept the call, putting it on speaker for Lenore's ears.
Do you have any idea what you put your parents through? Grandma Betty asks quite sharply.
They had to fly home in economy class, Callie, and your mother's back has been out.
I was intubated, Grandma, I tell her, but she dismisses it as very unfortunate but fine.
He forged my signature on a $60,000 loan, I say, but she calls it. Don't be dramatic. You have so much and they have so little. It is your duty. Family takes care of family, the foundational belief that has governed every interaction we have ever.
Don't let pride ruin what we have, she coaxes, as I take the phone off speaker. My hands still shake, but my voice comes out steady as I prepare to end this.
I finally realize that I am not the one destroying the family, and they already did that.
We are going to the police with this evidence, Lenore says, and I finally nod. The person who funded their lives is gone, replaced by someone who finally knows her worth.
Preston Howard, the man I called father, is now just a name on a fraud report.
The city feels different now, colder but clearer, as I step into my new reality today.
No more 70-hour weeks to pay for someone else's golf tournaments or expensive Cabo resort trips.
I delete the app and the photos, cutting the final thread that kept me tied down.
I changed the locks and the codes, making my house a safe place once again today.
Our work here is done, Lenore says, as we prepare for the legal battle ahead now.
A story of betrayal ends, and a story of survival and strength begins in this house.
We head to the district attorney's office to hand over the evidence against my own family. The ledger is the key, proving the Ponzi scheme and the theft of my $60,000. The investigator nods, his face grim as he realizes the scale of the fraud committed here.
I am no longer the victim, and I am the one holding the power in this room.
The truth comes out, and the family name is finally associated with the crimes they committed.
He never thought he would be caught, but the paper trail never lies in the end.
I walk past them with my head held high, leaving the drama behind for good now. To new beginnings, Lenore says, as we toast to a life free from their toxic grasp.
Life goes on, and for the first time, it feels like it is actually worth living.
I am writing my own story now, and the first chapter is titled The Great Escape. My heart is healthy, my mind is clear, and my bank accounts are finally my own.
I leave the hospital bed behind, but I carry the lessons I learned there with me.
Not Cabo, but a beach of my own choosing, where the air is fresh and clean.
Family is not always blood. It is the people who show up when you are down.
The darkness has lifted, and I am finally living in the light of my own truth.
Every day is a gift, and I am no longer giving mine away to the unworthy. I am Callie Howard, and I am finally the master of my own destiny and life.
The road ahead is long, but I am finally driving the car myself this time around.
This is my story of survival, a documentary of how I finally chose myself over them. Grandma love is not a line of credit, and I am done paying for my own abuse.
My phone starts buzzing again with Betty's name flashing on the screen, but I decline the call.
I block the number, and the sudden quiet feels massive as I face the reality of tonight.
That was the matriarch, Lenore says, slowly, noting, I just hung up on the family's powerful head. I know she will escalate, but I am ready for the fallout that is coming my way.
Lenore's expression shifts into recognition as she pushes the banker's box toward me for me to see.
You need to see all of it, the other investors and the payment records and the official state complaints.
I pull the documents closer, forcing my exhausted brain to process the devastating truth of this fraud.
5 other investors besides me appear on the list, all older men from Preston's deep social network.
All were promised impossible returns and paid back with money taken from the very next person in.
This is prosecutable, I say, as I realize these are federal charges involving multiple counts of fraud.
I look up at her, asking if he is coming for the house once he realizes money.
Lenore nods her jaw tight, saying, "They do not know, and I have traced where the money went."
They do not know we have the Nevada filing or that we have the full investor list.
She leans forward, and I see the forensic auditor who took down corporate fraud rings and won.
We have the leverage, Callie. And we just need them to walk straight into the trap we set.
3 days later, the video hits 2 million views while I am sitting in a staff meeting.
My phone buzzes against the table once, twice, and 7 times in just 30 seconds of time.
I flip it face down, but see the notification that Kinsley Living has tagged me in post.
Mascara is streaked down her cheeks, and I wonder if these are real tears or glycerin tricks.
My sister left us stranded, and she sobs into the camera, claiming we had nothing and no way.
The comments scroll faster than I can read, saying narcissist and hoping that karma gets me soon. By the end of the day, 3 coworkers have asked if I am okay following the video.
My boss pulls me aside to discuss personal matters affecting how people perceive me in the workplace.
Professional damage is mounting, and this is exactly what Kinsley intended to happen with her viral post.
I am heating soup I will not eat while my LinkedIn inbox fills with messages from strangers.
Tenants' rights, Lenore reads aloud, claiming a verbal lifetime lease based on a decade of continuous residency.
I set down my spoon asking he what as the audacity of his legal claim hits me.
It is a stalling tactic to tie the house up in court while he lives there rent.
His lawyer is decent enough to make this expensive for you with fees and high court costs.
The number at the bottom makes my stomach turn as I think of years spent fighting them. I ask what we do, and Lenore looks at me over the top of the legal letter.
We let him think he has won, she says, setting the stage for the coming mediation session.
The mediation happens in a room that smells like burnt coffee and desperation, with gray walls around.
Preston arrives first in a suit, and I bought him for a business opportunity that never actually materialized.
Deirdre follows with her phone already out, probably texting Kinsley play-by-play updates of the meeting.
Kinsley herself slouches in last, filming everything on her phone until the lawyer makes her stop recording.
Preston notices and smirks, using that false warmth he employs only when he wants something from me.
Lenore sits beside me, playing her part as a weary advisor who is simply tired of fighting.
Preston's lawyer starts talking about demands and concessions and a formal acknowledgement of their residency rights here.
I focus on my breathing in for 4 and out for 4, using my therapist's panic technique.
Miss Howard, your father has been very patient, but he is prepared to take this to trial.
Lenore interrupts and slides a document across the table with a header reading, Affidavit of Residency Management.
Preston's lawyer picks it up and skims the text while keeping his face professionally neutral and calm.
A compromise, Lenore says, in a voice that sounds exhausted and defeated, but is truly Oscar-worthy.
Callie will agree to a 6-month extension and a modest monthly stipend in exchange for signatures.
I watch Preston read over his lawyer's shoulder and see the exact moment he thinks he won.
His spine straightens and the smirk returns as he claims this admits they managed the whole household.
Lenore slides a pen across the table, saying it validates your claims and simplifies any future action.
Preston snatches the pen and his signature sprawls across the bottom line, bold and very confident indeed.
Deirdre signs as witness and Kinsley follows with her handwriting looking looping and very dramatic on paper.
Lenore's exhausted demeanor vanishes like a switch flipped as she picks up the signed and notarized affidavit. She smiles the look of a forensic auditor who just got exactly the evidence she needed today. They just signed their own death warrant, Lenore says, while I stare at Preston's bold, confident signature.
By swearing he lived in Washington while claiming Florida residency for taxes, he just confessed to fraud.
By admitting he managed household finances, and he linked himself to every transaction from the Ponzi scheme accounts.
The IRS loves this kind of clear documentation and signed confession with absolutely no wiggle room left.
We just armed the weapon, and now we wait for the right moment to fire it off.
The party planning starts 3 days later, as Kinsley posts about a victory celebration at the estate.
Family estate, she calls my house the one they are still illegally occupying while I pay.
I live in a studio apartment because I cannot stomach sleeping under the same roof as them.
She turns the screen toward me, showing a Reddit thread asking for proof that Kinsley is lying.
Sarah Chen from Logistics remembered.
I was out with sepsis the same week Kinsley claimed abandonment occurred.
Someone pulled metadata from her Cabo photos, while others crucialed the resort's tagged location history and times.
This will destroy her, I say as Lenore removes her glasses and looks at me very seriously.
She destroyed herself, and the internet is just holding up a mirror to the reality she created.
By evening, the truth is everywhere, proving 0 family visits during my 6-day stay in ICU.
Her follower count drops by half overnight as 3 brand deals issue statements terminating their partnerships immediately.
They are coming tomorrow, Lenore says, typing rapidly as Preston confirms the final settlement meeting for 2.
I arrive at Lenore's office building downtown, a place that smells like expensive carpet and quiet money. Preston's leased Range Rover is already there, recognizable by the tacky bumper sticker he slapped on it. Kinsley slouches in the corner, her eyes red, and her phone is finally sitting face down today.
No lawyer this time,
All right.
Lenore asks, arching a brow, as Preston waves a hand dismissively at her. Good to see you being reasonable.
Between us, she places the signed affidavit and a thick manila envelope addressed to the Internal Revenue.
Preston's eyes flick to it and something crosses his face, not quite fear yet, but deep calculation.
Inside are 2 subfolders labeled A and B, as Lenore slides folder A across the table today.
This contains footage of you, Preston, practicing Callie's signature 47 times before you got it right. It shows you forging the HELOC documents, which is bank fraud and identity theft at the level.
Preston's face drains as Lenore mentions the notary has already cooperated with authorities for a reduced sentence.
Folder A goes to the FBI if you walk out that door without signing the voluntary surrender.
Your Florida license says you are a resident of Orlando, and so does your tax return lately.
You claimed Florida residency to avoid capital gains, but signed a document admitting you lived here instead.
That is called tax fraud, Preston, and if you recant, I will mail both folders to investigators.
Hours. By admitting you managed finances, you legally tied yourself to every account from the investment scheme today.
We have 12 investors ready to file complaints and wire transfer records with your signature on them.
Those were legitimate investments, Preston says, but his voice cracks as he looks at the massive evidence. Silence fills the room like water rising while Deidre cries quietly and Kinsley stares at the table. Callie, sweetheart, this is your aunt twisting everything. You know me and know I would never hurt. He uses that wheedling tone I have heard 1,000 times, claiming we are family and love.
Lenore taps the pre-stamped envelope, saying, "You sign the surrender now and vacate within 24.
Or you refuse, and this goes in the mail, and you will be in custody within week."
Preston's hand trembles as he reaches for the pen, asking for $5,000 to help move.
Every cell in my body recognizes this final test as the old patterns try to reassert control.
I stand and look him in the eye, saying no one word that is clean and final.
No.
He signs as his face crumples with rage and disbelief that his asset is refusing to perform.
Grandma Betty calls me a betrayer, but I delete the message without even listening to her words.
My abdomen still aches from sepsis, but my chest feels light and free for the first time.
The house sells 3 months later, and I watched the closing documents slide across the table today.
My signature is steady where Preston's once trembled, and after the HELOC, there is zero profit left.
I take the last check and walk out into the rain, leaving the contamination behind for good.
My new apartment overlooks the sound from the 3rd floor, and it feels like home to me. When I wake up here, my chest does not feel like someone parked a truck on it.
6 months later, I meet Rebecca, a grant recipient who is afraid to open her financial documents. I tell her she is not responsible for what he did, but only for what she does. Healing is not linear, and I stopped confusing love with sacrifice, because real love does not cost. That afternoon, my phone buzzes with an email from Preston, and my body freezes for a moment.
The subject line reads, "Emergency kidney surgery," as he claims insurance will not cover the full cost.
Lenore responds in minutes, showing his Facebook post about a minor procedure, with laughing emojis included there.
I delete the email with no hesitation or second thoughts, and no knot in my stomach anymore.
I walk to my balcony with tea, while the sound stretches out gray and restless under clouds.
Seagulls wheel overhead, and I breathe in salt air, exhaling slowly as I find my inner peace.
This is peace, not the absence of noise, but the presence of boundaries I built for myself.
Silence is not an absence of noise. It is a fortress I built to protect my peace. They taught me love was sacrifice, but I finally learned that love is also about having boundaries.
I close the journal not because everything is perfect, but because everything is finally mine at last.
The house is now a home for others, while I have built a life that is mine.
I walk through the market, feeling connected to the world, but protected by the walls I built.
The city lights twinkle as I realize that my survival was only the beginning of my story.
My eyes are clear now, reflecting a future that I chose for myself, without any more debt.
The ferry disappears into the horizon as I embrace the quiet strength of my own brand new.
Knowledge is power, and I have used it to reclaim my life from those who sought it.
My hands are still as I pour water, a simple act that signifies my complete internal peace.
The past is being washed away like footprints in the sand as I move toward my future.
Life is growing again in the small spaces I have created for myself with love and care.
I am the director of my own life now, and no one else holds the pen anymore.
The story of my survival is over, and the story of my life has only just begun.